A major WWE return leaked. Vince McMahon positive on WWE. Long-term plans for Cody Rhodes. And more. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the Moustache Talk News. Can you see it? Can you see it now? Because some people said it wasn't that impressive, but I've really been concentrating on growing it. It's uncomfortable. It's so wiry. But goddamn, is it sexy.
Support WrestleTalk!
Just in case you didn't see Wednesday's episode of Dynamite because, statistically, you didn't, you were watching NXT instead, Malakai Black appeared to do a curtain call-esque spot at the end of his match with Adam Cole, where they embraced in the ring and Cole put over Malakai on the mic. This started speculation that Malakai, who did admit to asking for his release back in 2022, was leaving AEW. And Fightful Select reported Black's contract could be expiring as early as the next couple of months. And now Malakai's House of Black faction mate Brody King has revealed this on Twitter. I'm going to miss my brother Malakai. I heard after last night's match Malakai Black is leaving wrestling forever and starting a traveling cat circus. I knew it was his true calling when he showed me a video of his cats reenacting a move-for-move Ospreay versus Ricochet match. Goddamn spot cats. But Malakai himself wasn't feline so jokey, posting on his Instagram story that it's our fault for speculating he's retiring after he did a retirement-style spot.
Here we are once more, a match down, and again, everybody is always retiring. He's retiring because of his injuries and this and that. Well, neither of these things. I'm not injured, nor am I retiring, nor am I leaving. I feel this happens every match I have. And I don't understand how many times you're going to say these things and then them not happening and people still are going to, fall for that. I'm fine. I've been fine for the longest time. I would really appreciate it if that stuff stops, man. If I'm going to retire, you're going to hear from me and not after Adam just cuts a promo just as a thank you for the match, because that's all it was. So, thank you.
Speaking of people who aren't retiring... Sorry, Malakai, from going from you into a Vince McMahon story segue. Vince McMahon has recently had a meal with one of the top executives in TKO. In an interview with CNBC, TKO president and COO Mark Shapiro mentioned that he met with Vince for breakfast a few weeks ago to catch up after the release of the Mr. McMahon docuseries on Netflix. Because that's what you want to do after watching McMahon lie, bully, allegedly sexually harass, screw people over, and keep running the show when someone died for 6-hour-long episodes. Have pancakes with the guy. I had breakfast with him a few weeks ago just to check in. Been a long time. Haven't heard from him at all. Obviously, the series on Netflix came out. I wanted to see kind of where he was. By the way, he couldn't have been more cooperative. He couldn't have been nicer. He was a total pro. A breakfast, if you will. It's a one-on-one get-together. And here was me thinking being a total pro at breakfast means you make your poached eggs the hard way with vinegar and boiling water, not with the silicone molds. Not talking to the company that's more successful without you. Shapiro described Vince's relationship with TKO and WWE as being out of the business entirely. He doesn't make decisions, he's not on the board, he doesn't opine, we don't consult him. But he did admit that McMahon still does hold shares in the company, albeit at a much reduced amount to what it once was. The interviewer asked Shapiro what Vince thought of the current direction of WWE, which under Nick Khan and Paul Levesque has grown to one of its biggest ever boom periods, both critically and commercially. Shapiro answered that Vince couldn't have been more positive, but I wasn't asking for his opinion. There may have been another reason that Shapiro and Vince met for breakfast. PW Insider has reported that McMahon is set to launch a new entertainment hub company that will focus on producing film and TV. He's apparently enlisted a bunch of Vince loyalists, like former WWE COO Brad Blum, who resigned from TKO when he was revealed to be corporate officer number 2 in Janelle Grant's lawsuit, and Kristen Prouty, who was WWE's go-between with the entertainment world, being instrumental in getting Logan Paul to wrestle for them and was laid off by WWE in May. Perhaps Shapiro was just checking in that there were no breaches of whatever non-competes Vince has in his agreements with TKO. PW Insider has reported this new company won't focus on anything wrestling. As Shapiro said though, Vince has got some litigation that he's working through, and frankly, he wants the privacy and the time to work through it. Got some litigation is a rather polite way of putting it, and it's expected he'll want to settle the Grant lawsuit before he moves forward with a new company. anyway. How much do you want to bet that Vince could one day return to WWE? It doesn't matter how much you want to bet, because you won't be allowed to place it. One of those seemingly minor stories that is actually far more impactful than you think, Shapiro also spoke about WWE's plans to move in to legalized gambling. In March 2023, CNBC reported WWE was in talks with state gambling regulators to legalize betting on wrestling matches, and had even registered with the Indiana Gaming Commission. One of the huge strategic potential upsides for the WWE TKO UFC merger could have been to capitalize on the quickly growing sports betting business in the United States. While WWE isn't the UFC's legitimate competition, you can still place bets on scripted television, like who's gonna die in Game of Thrones. Everyone. It was everyone. But Shapiro has now denied these plans, saying that they'll keep sports betting just in the UFC, as WWE is scripted. Look, years ago I ran Dick Clark Productions. Dick. We had enough challenge keeping the American Music Awards and the Golden Globe winners under wraps. We're not going to be asking Triple H, Paul Levesque, who runs our creative, to keep his scripts so under wraps that we can start sports betting. Just doesn't jive. In other words, they couldn't get enough regulators to sign off on it, so they're quietly dropping it for now. Before I get into the rest of the news stories, here's a rundown of what we've got coming up this weekend on the WrestleTalk channel. On Saturday, me, Sullivan, and El Fakador himself, Laurie Blake, will be counting down our 10 worst WWE World Champions of all time in a brand new tables, lists, and shares. And on Sunday, I've got a video essay diving into the roots of wrestling terms and phrases. From everything like, where did the word kayfabe actually come from? Was it named after a mute wrestler called K-Fabian? To really obscure wrestling slang like red reels and straws. Here's a clip. Do you ever get confused when people use pro wrestling language like kayfabe and heat? Are you concerned you might be a queen or a straw? Does this Hulk Hogan tweet melt your brain? Good night, Hulkamaniacs and jabroni marks without a life that don't know how to work when you work a work and work yourself into a shoot marks? Then you need to learn how to speak wrestling with me, Ollie Davis. Because WWE seemingly wants War Games 2025 to be a 12-person Bloodline match, the company has reportedly signed yet another member of the Anoa'i family, Lance Anoa'i. Lance is the son of Samu and grandson of Afa. I think that would make Roman Reigns his great uncle, but I have no idea what it makes the Fatu side of the family to him, so I'm just going to play it safe. They're cousins. Lance, who's 32 years old, has been wrestling since 2010 on the independent scene and is a former MLW World Tag Team Champion. He was granted his release from MLW last year, and he was recently spotted in a photo wearing an NXT t-shirt alongside other Performance Center talent. Fightful Select then confirmed that Lance signed with WWE in the summer, but is currently out with injury. Lance joins Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa's brother Hikuleo as a Bloodline Dynasty member currently signed with WWE, but who has not yet debuted in the ring. But Lance isn't the only recent WWE acquisition. Last week, WWE announced their new ID program, which stands for Independent Development, which will either support young talent both financially and with mentorship through the difficult journey of becoming a pro wrestler with the hope of one day becoming a WWE superstar, or it will destroy the entire wrestling community as you know it, suffocating US indie wrestling with WWE stopping anyone from being used, and nothing in between. Congratulations to the first intake of ID signees, CZW and Marigold wrestler Zeta Steele, Wrestling Open's Bryce Donovan, and This Is Wrestling's Cappuccino Jones. The official WWE ID Twitter account teased that 20 names have been signed in total, with the rest to be announced imminently. There's speculation that another obscure name has been in talks with the company. Becky Lynch. Becky's WWE contract reportedly expired back in June, potentially making her a free agent able to go anywhere right now. Jonathan Coachman recently claimed the two sides still haven't come to terms on a deal because Lynch asked for $2 million per year, which Fightful said is nonsense because Becky is expected to make way more than that and WWE would jump at paying her just $2 million. But now, according to WrestleVotes Radio, during WWE's negotiations with major athletic apparel brands, they've been using Becky's name in the talks, alongside Steve Austin, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, and Bianca Belair. Obviously, Stone Cold isn't an active wrestler there, but the rest are, implying this is to capitalize on a Becky return rather than just her icon status. WrestleVotes have even speculated that Becky's name being included in this means she is already signed with WWE, and they expect her to be back in the ring sooner rather than later. If only the company had a massive streaming platform premiere coming up, or a PLE that's mostly designed around surprise returns. WrestleVotes is also reporting that WWE is extremely happy with Cody Rhodes as WWE Champion, and that he'll remain the top title holder for the foreseeable future, with the new regime of Levesque and Khan seeing him as their top John Cena-like babyface, as someone who is both family-friendly and who represents the promotion very well. But how long is the foreseeable future? WrestleVotes continued that if The Rock vs Roman Reigns gets booked as a singles match for WrestleMania 41, that it would likely headline Night 2. In that case, Cody would main event Night 1, possibly meaning, sorry CM Punk, that Dwayne will take a Mania main event spot from him again. At least Punk can take some joy in his new beloved NXT beating his old archenemy AEW in Wednesday's head-to-head. With the US election coverage on Tuesday night, NXT found itself bumped to the unfamiliar Wednesday night time slot against AEW Dynamite. Usually, the show off its regular day significantly underperforms, like Dynamite getting its lowest rating ever when it went against NXT on a Tuesday on October 8th. But credit to NXT, they ingeniously loaded the show with ECW nostalgia and managed to pull in 619,000 viewers with a 0.17 in the 18 to 49 demographic, against AEW's 523,000 viewers and a 0.16. A huge victory for NXT. But who will reign victorious in Fall Guys? Watch Laurie Sullivan, Dom and Holly play it in the brand new episode of Video Game Club, which you can watch right now. Here's a clip.
You were riding the escalator down.
I wanted to.
You chose the hard option on the travelator.
No! Just that little guy pushed me off.
Why were you showing off? Why were you showing off in front of your f***ing friends? You bloody idiots!
I can walk myself, thank you very much.
We're never gonna get a crown!